right, so how about that dramatic intro, huh? Yeah. All right, thank you. On my wrist today is my Invicta Pro Diver. I felt that that was appropriate since I'm taking a look at another Submariner Homage today. And that is the watch in question. It is the Heimdallr Submariner Homage, and it is absolutely gorgeous on first sight. You're looking at a 40.5 millimeter case, a thickness of 13 millimeters. It's 14 millimeters with the Cyclops. You're looking at a lug-to-lug of 48 millimeters and a lug width of 20 millimeters, tapering down to 16 at the clasp, back up to 20. The case is 316L stainless steel. You've got a ceramic bezel with luminous pip, screw down crown, the NH35 movement, applied indices on the dial, and hey kids, I learned a new word today, and that word is rehalt. So every time I say the word rehalt, you have to cheer for me. Okay, ready? All right, so you have applied indices on the dial, and then a Heimdallr etching with a shark logo along the rehalt. Thank you for paying attention. The bracelet is 316L stainless steel, and it is pin and collar. Interesting choice. The clasp is pretty much your standard fold-over scissor clasp. Not fold-over, fold-over scissor clasp that you'd find at this price point on a lot of watches, and the case back is, you know, the standard copy of the watch that they are trying to homage. Standard 3 micro adjustments on the clasp. And you've got a 120 click unidirectional bezel, and it is quite difficult to turn. I would equate this action to my Omega Seamaster 300M. It's a 1999 version. We all know how difficult that one is to maneuver. It feels very much the same as that. A little tight. Hopefully will loosen up over time. But everything does line up properly, so that's a good bonus. You've got a Cyclops with 2.5 magnification, as it should be. It's a little bit off center. I'm not sure if you can tell there, but certainly not something that's that noticeable. You've got the Heimdallr logo just below the 12 o'clock position. And then water resistant, 1,000 feet and 300 meters of water resistance to this one, which is the same as the watch that they are homaging. Case finishing is actually quite nice. There's some very good polish on the sides. There is no beveled edge. It's just straight into the brushing side of it. All of this mirrors the actual Submariner very well. One thing I am impressed with, which I will probably accidentally rip off, is the loom pip, which you got some really good shots of it in the opening. The loom pip is really neat looking. It's far above the quality that I've seen on some of the other Submariner homages. So you've got BGW9 on the indices, hands, and the loom pip. It does glow blue, and it's pretty bright. I'll throw up a loom shot right now.
Hey now, that's some good looking loom.
So there's a screw down crown, and it is unsigned. And I think that's okay. I think the last Heimdallr watch I reviewed, it did have a signed crown. But that's okay. The polish is kind of nice on it. So let me see here. The action on the crown is pretty good. Now this is the Seiko NH35 movement. Heimdallr on their website does offer a version with an ETA 2824, and that one is probably going to be much, much closer to the actual Submariner movement. And supposedly on their website, if you ask them, there's a Seagull one that you can get as well. I don't know why you would ever do that. Just buck up for the NH35, and it certainly shouldn't let you down. There is a gasket there that you can see. I think just one there, and there's probably one in the crown. But the crown action's screwing in. It grabs fairly quickly and screws down nicely. Nice and tight. There's a good distance of screw down that you are able to do. So that feels pretty secure for the water resistance. I really was blown away when I opened the package of this watch. I just couldn't believe how close this was to an actual Submariner. I've seen actual Submariners. I've also seen a lot of fake Submariners, and this is very, very close. This is by far the best version that I've seen that's not an actual Submariner. Even some of the replicas that I've seen, they're not this good. I mean, this watch looks and feels very similar, if not identical. On the website, Heimdallr states that these are diamond cut hands. I don't know if that means they're more accurately cut, but certainly in some of the macro shots in the opening, they look very, very good. There's not a whole lot to complain about them. There's not too many rough edges. I think you saw there may have been a little bit of an issue with the loom on the seconds hand, not completely filling the lollipop. But other than that, the hands look absolutely amazing. One of the differences that I did notice was the ceramic bezel, the numbers on the ceramic bezel and the markers. They are pretty much completely white, and I think on the ceramic Rolex Submariner bezel, they are filled with platinum, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So they're a little bit more gray than these are, but it's not something that you would be able to tell from a distance. So what do I like about this watch? Well, man, 300 meters of water resistance, assuming that's true, that's great at this price point. The watch is just absolutely beautiful. The finishing is fantastic. The ceramic bezel, the way it hits the light, it doesn't appear that there's that much of an anti-reflective coating on the sapphire crystal. So, you know, you're going to have that as a bit of a challenge when you're reading it. I love the loom pip. I do like a recessed loom pip, but whenever one is raised up and it's done really well, like there's quite a bit of height to that one, and I think it looks great, and I'm going to try to be careful not to rip it out, because certainly you're not going to be able to get replacement parts for this, I would think, unless you emailed Heimdallr. The Cyclops is nice and clean and clear. It looks really great. I like the indices. The polishing on all of the indices is just immaculate, and how they kind of raise up a bit from the dial. It just looks great. The handset is great, and this lollipop, you've heard me talk about lollipop seconds hands in the past, and my gripes about them. This one is perfect. That is the perfect distance for a lollipop to be, just making it look great. The Heimdallr Sharky logo and Heimdallr all around the rehaut is a neat touch, and it is a nod to what Rolex does on this particular watch. They put Rolex everywhere, and at the bottom or underneath the 6 o'clock marker, they usually put a serial number, but on this one, there of course is not. I love the bracelet. I wasn't ready for how thin this is, going down from 20 to 16. Some other homages, and even the Invicta Pro Diver that I have on, it doesn't taper quite as much as that. And of course, I have a different, yes, I have a different bracelet on this Invicta Pro Diver. It's more of a glide lock inspired clasp, and you know, it's brushed. I hate the freaking bracelet that's on the Pro Diver. But this bracelet, I wasn't prepared for how thin it was. It's 3.3 millimeters thin. Well, I'm going to say thin, but it's thick. 3.3 millimeters thick. And it just wears so wonderfully. And I wasn't like keen on the clasp either when I first got it. It's got the Heimdallr stamp on the clasp. I wasn't really liking that. I figured, well, I'm just going to get a glide lock inspired clasp and slap it on there, and we'll just do this bad boy 100%. Well, the pin and collar deal, you know, kind of threw a wrench into that. But since I've been wearing it for a couple of days, this clasp is actually really good, and I think it fits the watch pretty good. And overall, the finishing on the case, just wonderful. Finishing on the bracelet, just great. I don't know how you can get any better than this unless you get the real deal. So what do I not like about this watch? Well, first, as I've talked about Heimdallr before, if you can do this and you can do this quality, create your own watch, I promise you that people will buy it. If you can put this kind of quality in your own design, you will upheave the watch world. I can promise you that. So take that advice, get it done. You can still make these. Please still make these. My goodness, they're so wonderful. But yeah, do your own watch. Do us all a favor. We will thank you for it. I love the NH35 movement, but this one was not regulated from the factory. Unfortunately, this is running about minus 40 seconds a day, which I know is within the specs of the NH35, but it's a little bit disappointing because the last Heimdallr watch I got was within 1 second a day. And nobody wants to, get their watch and immediately have to bust open the case back, break the water resistance, and try to regulate a movement. It's just not something that anybody wants to have to do right out of the gate. I'm fine with it. I'll just set the watch a little bit ahead of time, and I think we'd be all good there. Although I do think it is beautiful, I think it is finished wonderfully. I think the clasp is great. I just have to say, and I'm sorry if I'm going to go on a rant here, it is 2020. What, Heimdallr, were you thinking about pin and collar in this day and age? I mean, what the f? You put this much back into the watch, I mean, this kind of quality, and you're gonna do that, and you're not gonna give us, screw links or hell, even push pins. I'd take push pins over this, but I know you want to class it up. I had to take this thing to a jeweler to get this done. They gave us a tool. Okay, the Heimdallr provided a tool. I give them props for that. The tool was not long enough to push the link or push the pin all the way out of the bracelet. So I had to embarrassingly take this to a jeweler. I haven't had to do that with a watch in some time. They charged me $12.99. Yeah, I know. They should have done it for free. I don't know what their deal was. They had like 2 magnetic locked doors I had to go through. It was like it was Fort Knox to get this done. But anyway, I asked them to take them all out of one side. For some reason, I like my links taken out of this side. My wrist is just weird shaped, so the clasp sits more in the center of my wrist. They're like, oh, no, I don't know. Would you mind if I just did 2 on one side and 1 on the other? Because they think I don't know what I'm talking about. And I was like, yeah, I guess that's fine. And they did, and it doesn't quite sit right on my wrist, but I'll take it back and get it done again. Pay another $12.99, boy, I love that. But all in all, this is fantastic. I mean, I can't believe the quality of this. They do offer one in the Hulk Submariner color green, so that's gonna be great. I think I might pick that up. San Martin also makes this watch as well, and it looks very, very similar. And I'm kind of thinking I might get the San Martin one in green just to see if they're comparable, or maybe they come out of the same factory. I don't even know at this point. But this is so great. I mean, anybody's going to be absolutely enamored and happy to death with this thing. I mean, if you're looking for a Submariner Homage watch that's as close to the real deal as it gets, this is going to be your guy right here. And yes, I haven't seen everything in the world, but this is my personal opinion. And as I said before, I'm just a regular guy with just regular opinion. And I've seen a lot of replicas. I've seen the real deal. And this is about as close as you're gonna come. And there it is on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. It just wears lovely. Just beautiful. See, there's the clasp. They didn't do what I told them to do, and then it doesn't sit on my wrist right. So there you go. A beautiful look at a beautiful looking watch. I think who this watch is for primarily is for someone that actually has this Rolex Submariner and they want to go like downtown to buy drugs or something, or maybe pick up a lady of the night and they don't want to risk losing their subby in a dangerous situation like that. Or maybe in New Orleans on Bourbon Street. Same deal. I've been there 1,000 times. And so, yeah, this is something I might wear if I had a Submariner and I didn't want to nick it up. But I'm going to throw up a photo at the end of this, and I want you to tell me that you can tell the difference between this and the actual Submariner. I'll see you next time, guys.